Hey everyone, it's Stephanie. Welcome to my channel. Today, the video is an update on the Scrappy Fabric Snippet Roll Challenge. This challenge goes to October 1st, and each week I am putting an update video and exploring different things with the snippets. This is a perfect challenge. You can start at any time. It's great for prep, scrap busting, a side project. And what I'm basically doing is, for the most part, I am just making the snippet rolls and then basting them together. And I'm not really doing a whole lot of stitch work right now because I am going to be using these rolls for a lot of projects coming up. And in each project, there's going to be a different what you can make with these snippets. So last week I made this snippet roll and I really enjoyed it. I have some more fabric left of this and I think I'm gonna make another one. And this is wool and it's from a skirt. And you know, I was observing the limited palette of this and I really liked it, and I liked the patchiness of it. And so I thought, and then I went down in my storage area and was going through my scraps, and I found some really great fabrics that I thrifted, and I thought, you know, why don't the next 3 videos I explore a limited palette. And then I was thinking about a project I wanted to do for my mom, and kind of in honor and memory of her mom, my grandmother. My grandmother was a quilter. She comes from a long line of quilters, and she's a bit of traditionalist in her quilting. But I noticed sometimes she would use raw edges, but she did use the seam allowance. I mean, she definitely quilted in the traditional sense. And I'm a bit of a nonconformist. I learned all the techniques of quilting, but then I went my own way. And when I was just curious about seam allowance, and you know, maybe I should do one of the snippets as a seam allowance, like half seam allowance and then half raw edges, you know, to keep the integrity of my way of creating and yet explore the way my grandmother creates. So I started this snippet and I folded the edges here for the clean line, and I cut out a fabric scrap and I did not measure it because I don't do that very often. I just go with it. So what I did was I created a seam allowance by folding it. I did the invisible stitch, and then I thought, you know, to keep to like how I like to stitch, I did the whip stitch here and then here. And so let me see if you can see it slightly. You could see the little stitches. I hope you can. So what I have an idea, I'm very limited with this fabric. These are 2 fat quarters I got for $1 each, and this is all I have, but I have a lot of this material. So for the limited palette, I'm going to try to get 3 more snippets and make them, and then piece them together, quilt them together, and make a quilted mat of sorts, or just a mat. And I want it to be real pretty and to give to my mother, so she can like have it as like a little table runner / like decorative mat piece that she could put things on. And so what I did was I actually showed my mom this, and her face just really lit up, and she was like, grandmother would be so proud that someone in this family is continuing the tradition of quilting and sewing, because the way I sew, you know, because I don't think there's anybody else in my family, immediate or like first cousins. I don't know about second cousins or third cousins that are doing this. So I think I'm the only one. And so it's nice to be able to carry the tradition on. Hopefully my daughter will one day. So I'm really proud actually with how that turned out. I was really surprised because I did not measure this and I thought, oh boy, it's going to be interesting. But it came out pretty decent. So before I show you how I'm making the seam allowance and the design of this, what I'm going to do, I just want to do a couple other things first. So I'm going to put this aside for a second. We'll talk about this in a minute. So last week I said I was going to join this to this one like that. So instead of joining it to this snippet, I'm going to make one more of these and then join it. So I thought I would join this to this one. Now I still have, it doesn't matter the order of it really, because like I still have more fabric of these, and I thought about making another one, and I can still join it to you know, it doesn't have to be, okay, I've got to join the other one to this, because I'm basically just doing a temporary basting stitch, because I'm just trying to keep my and I can cut it later for projects. I'm just trying to keep my rolls together as best as possible. So I have shown this in other videos. I highly recommend watching those other videos because we do different things in them and you get a lot of tips and tricks and ideas and stuff. So with this one, all I'm going to do, and also with this, I did do some folds here. And they're just temporary. I'm going to like straighten them up a bit possibly, and I'm going to go back probably and add some more like little patches of this fabric, because I did this one on corduroy. This corduroy is super stretchy and super thin, and I know I'm going to have to add more layers on this because there's no batting. I thought about adding the felting batting that I do sometimes, and I talk about that in my other bowl making videos, but so I did not do that with this one. But this might not even be a bowl, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, so I'm not too concerned. I just want to basically get these fabrics down for future projects. It makes projects go a lot faster. So I am just basically, I'm doing long stitches, not too many of them, because I'm literally going to, this is really cheap thread, sewing thread, and I believe it's hand sewing thread by Coates and Clark, hand quilting it says. But there is basting thread. I'm just using this. I'm just using what I have. And I'm not making them too tight. I don't need to because they're just temporary. This is really thick fabric, so I'm having to use a sharp needle. Have to be a little careful not to break the needle. If it does, that's fine. So that's how I'm joining these together. I cannot wait to see how big the roll gets by October 1st. I think it's going to be fantastic. So what I'm going to do, just to end it, I might do a back, well, I could do a back stitch, but I'm just not going to. It's no big deal. But last year I made a ton of these and I did not keep them together, and I was working on all these projects. And then this year, as I've been cleaning out stuff, I'm finding snippet rolls and snippets everywhere that I've used quite a bit of it already in my projects. So. But I thought this would be a fabulous idea So that's good. That's nice to, so I'm just going to roll this back up. Isn't that a pretty one? And it's cool because I can go back and do some folds if I wanted to, but these raw edges actually look really good. And it does have a clean look despite the raw edges, so that's interesting. That's going to be fun to explore. All of these are going to be fun to explore what I can make out of these, you know. I'm thinking about also making a whole bunch of snippets too. Well, I've got several quilting projects I'm prepping for next year. And one of the things that I make is snippet roll quilts, and I have other videos on that, so definitely check it out. No one's ever made them before I've looked, or if they have, it's not online. So that's a quilt that I've come up with, and it's absolutely fun to do, and how to use your snippets. Okay, so this is another roll that I've been making, and I do have videos on it, so check that out so you can see it. You don't have to stick to one size. I've got multiple different sizes, as you can see, and so that's why I'm keeping them separated right now, and then towards the end I'm going to attach them all and see how big the roll is. And that's going to be fun. I'm probably way past the 7-yard count mark now, I believe. So, okay, I'm going to use that. I don't want that in the way. So I've also been, I have an idea for these little snippets, and I have done videos on them during this challenge. These snippets are about 1.5 inches wide, and I have some of this material left over and from actually the last snippet roll quilt I made. So I'm using the tiny bits of scraps to make snippets. And I wasn't going to count this as the yardage for the challenge, but I think I might. And so I went ahead and I made some more denim strips. They're like 1.5 inches. Made a ton. I don't know if I'll have enough of this material for all of these, but that's okay. I'm not going to need all of this for what I'm thinking about making. So I'm trying to decide, the end of the challenge is October 1st, so we have a little over 2 months left. And I'm trying to decide, once I make these, should I wait till the challenge is over to do the tutorials for what I'm going to make with this? Or once I'm done with this, go ahead and make the tutorials. What I'm going to do, so it gives you plenty of prep time if you want to follow along with the tutorials and making the project I have in mind, that's 2 months of prep, and that's plenty of time to get these done. And my journey is hand stitching, and in my challenge I do encourage hand stitching. You can also use your machine sewing as well. A lot of times I just use the hand stitching because in a lot of the projects I do not use batting. So there is that. The options, you know, whatever you feel most comfortable with. So I'm going to probably just go ahead and reserve this for maybe, I have another project in mind I was thinking about, but I think I'm going to do this after the challenge is over. So what I'm going to make with these, I've never tried it with snippets this small. I'm going to make a box with these, and that's going to be interesting. I have 2 different ways I can do it, of how I've made boxes or pots. So we'll see. That's going to be fun to explore. So if you want to go ahead and start prepping for that project, you've got 2 months. That's plenty of time. You can go ahead and start that. That would be awesome. So I'm going to put this aside. Okay. So what I'm doing this over here. And I'm thinking about, for the design of this, I'm gonna turn it around a little bit. I usually start from left to right, but I think it's just easier to show how I'm going to design this. So what I'm thinking is, let's see, did I fold this? Okay, I did. No, I folded this side. Okay, so I'm just folding here. I'm going to do a seam allowance, create a seam. And I'm going to create, so the only seams I'm going to create are here on the outer edges. So actually this is going to go like that. And then I'm going to seam that. And possibly this side too. But leave this and this side raw. And then I'm going to cut the rectangles. It looks like I'm doing rectangles pretty much. So this fabric will go here, and then I'm going to do this fabric here, and then this here, and I'm going to just do a pattern, and every few of these I'm going to leave raw. So I think I am going to leave this side raw and fold this side. So I'm going to have a blend of the folded fabric and then a bit of the rawness edges. And I think that would look really interesting. I think my mom would like that actually. So, and I'm working with the limited palette. Just these colors. Super excited. Okay, so let's put this aside for a second. Gonna do this here. Take off my glasses, I do better. Okay, so what I'm doing, I folded it, tried to do a bit of 1/4 of an inch. I mean, it's pretty wonky, but let's just kind of like gauge it, eyeball it, not too concerned. So what actually I'm going to start here, because I want to do a bit of the invisible stitch. So I want to bring, actually I don't have to really, but usually I start through that fold, but I'm just going to do this. So I want to do a back stitch. So I'm just going to do little, like a tiny back stitch. There we go. This, oops, I just dropped my fabric scissors. These fabrics, look how sheer they are. I don't know if you can tell, but they are sheer. See my fingers through the fabric? So I notice when I'm doing this, I have to be very careful. Okay, so I've got that back stitch. I'm just going to go right behind it. And I'm a bit non-conformist when I sew. I just do whatever. I try to keep a little bit to that tradition, that technique that I learned, but then go my own way. So I'm just going to make sure the fold is still doing good. So when I do the invincible stitch, you're just basically creating dimples, I guess, if you will. Is that it? Or little dots. So I'm going to go right behind it, not too up against it, or it's this thread, because of this fabric is so thin, it's just not going to work. So let's see if I did it correctly. It's kind of hard to see. I notice my lighting is not as good as it is in the fall and winter time. Summer, all the trees are... So that worked. And when I'm doing a seam allowance, I try to be as close to the fabric with my thread, the fabric color, as possible. And I'm just taking my time. This fabric is very, very delicate. And I'm just going to go through like so. Okay, just kind of, I always stop and look. I just want to see where I'm at for a more, you know, cleaner look for something like this type of project that I'm doing. I just thought it was so cool that my mom said that your grandmother would be proud. That I was like, that is so cool. But I definitely like, I'm definitely not a traditional in that sense, I guess, of the word. You know what I mean? Like, as far as quilting, yeah, I'm carrying on that tradition, but my scrappiness is pretty wild at times. So, okay, I'm keeping it, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like on the back. If you know, especially if you're a beginner quilter. Well, I don't know if I'm exactly doing the length of the stitch. If it's, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just doing this, and this is actually pretty fun. I'm enjoying this. Gosh, I have so many projects I'm working on. And what I do is at nighttime, I've said this before, I just have a basket or a little bag, just whatever. I just grab a whole bunch of the projects, put them in there. And then at evening time after dinner, most times, I'll work on it before I go to bed for about an hour or so, a couple hours. And sometimes I'll sew for a couple hours, and then I read, and then maybe if I'm not too tired, I'll stitch a little more. Okay, so I'm at the end. So what I'm gonna do, go like this, like so. This fabric is so thin, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to try. Actually, yeah, I think I can do it. To end it, I left this a little open, so I can do this. Okay, good, the needle did not come through. Do that. Do one more, and I think it will hold. You know, I could do is a little back stitch if I wanted, but I'm just gonna stick with this because I am going to sew it on here, so it will be secured. So I'm just gonna bring the needle through the hoop like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have to, oops, that came out. I'm going to have to re-thread it and knot it. Okay, so this is the back side. That's where the stitch is showing. So this is what is called the invincible stitch. Invisible stitch. Whatever. And so they're like little dimples. And these are rather I probably could have made them smaller, less visible, but that's okay. I actually like them. It's definitely a art form, getting those dimples as tiny as possible. So, but it'll go like this. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to fold this. Yeah. Gonna have to fold this. I'm gonna actually baste it with some Elmer's glue, the glue stick. Please keep. I think I said Elmer's glue the last time on one of my projects. It's not the liquid glue. I do not use the liquid glue on my fabrics. This is just the glue stick for basting as an alternative, or just get some basting thread if you need to, or some pins. You can use pins to pin this down as you're sewing it if you want to. That works as well. These are rather long pins. If I were to do a project this small, I would probably get shorter pins, and you can get those at your local fabric store or craft store. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a seam allowance on this, exactly like I did here. And, excuse me, and then, like I did here, once I do that, I know that says, you might think that's a lot of work, but this is just the way I'm doing it. This is my technique, and I'm really actually enjoying it. So once this is sewn down, I'm going to take this, and I will probably definitely use a pin to pin this in place. Probably because I start right from left in my stitching, so I'm probably going to put the pin about right there. And I'm going to bring my needle through here, and I'm going to do tiny little whip stitches like I did here. So whip stitch, you're basically, okay, so there's a lot of tutorials on whip stitches, y'all could probably. So what I do is when I have my needle and thread for the whip stitch, instead of bringing my needle through here and then doing the whip stitch, I bring it under this fold, and I bring the needle through, and instead of doing a straight stitch, I bring it through, and then I whip it over to the other side, then bring the needle up, and then I just keep going round like that. And that's the whip stitch like that, and I really like that. It's super cool. I like that look. If you don't want to do the whip stitch, if you don't want to see that thread, so what you would do is just bring your needle through here, and you can just do the straight stitch or another invisible stitch. So, you know, or you know, and I don't know. That actually that would not work on this piece, probably. That's why I'm doing the whip stitch, I think, because it looks better, because I'm using the bottom, putting the bottom and the middle part and the top part together all at once. So if you were just to start with these two pieces and then later quilt your bottom piece to the top two layers, then you could do that. You know, I don't know, just play with it and experiment. And I'm not using batting for this. I'm actually, the muslin is actually kind of acting as a bit of a batting, if you will. But it's also because I'm working on the top piece as well. So I hope that did not confuse you. But, and let me know if you want me, in the next video, what I could do, since I'm going to do a couple more videos on this, the seam allowance, and maybe the, you know, or actually working with the limited palette. What I could do is, in the next video, too, I can have this ready to attach to this piece, and I can do the whip stitch in the next video, so you could see what I mean. Just, you know, let me know in the comment area, and even if you don't, I'll just probably go ahead and do that. I'm super excited about working with the seam allowance and working with a limited palette for a few of these snippet rolls. That's going to be really cool, interesting. And then of course I'll revert back to my very, very colorful scrappiness. So definitely want to mix it up a bit, because I know everybody has like different ways of doing things, and I actually, you know, I like exploring as well different techniques and so on, so, and incorporating it into my scrappy way of creating. I think that's just so super fun to do that. So I'm gonna probably do is, so I have that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a seam allowance for this. And I'm not concerned about this fabric. I mean, it's actually pretty close. It actually is probably going to be the same length. I'm not too concerned about that. So if it goes over or goes in a little bit, that's okay, because I'm going to be slightly layering these fabrics. So I'm not too terribly concerned about that. So I'm gonna create that. So you're thinking, hey, just don't do the seam, don't do that first. You've got this, so what I could do is just pin this and do the whip stitch. That's a less step that you would have to do. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna do this, even though this might be the longer way to do it. I'm just, because I'm having fun with it, you know. Whatever works for you, whatever you want to do, that it's not the wrong way of creating, you know. I'm kind of a rule breaker when it comes to this kind of stuff, so. But anyways, so let's see. Actually, no, I need to start over here, y'all. So I hope you got some ideas and tips in this video. It's a little longer than I would normally do for this challenge, but that's okay, because I really want to explore different techniques, like I've said, and I feel like I've just been rushing these videos, and I don't want to do that. I've been told so many times, you need to make your video shorter, but I'm thinking that the people who are telling me this are not crafters, they're not sewers. So my audience is quite different, you know? And I need to show my sewing techniques more without cutting it short, because I've been doing most of my sewing off camera, and I have not felt at ease with that, so making some changes, that's for sure. So that little went way that way. That's not as quite as even as the lengthwise that is as the others, but I don't care. Because when you put it down on here, you're really just going to be able to see the whip stitch. Hopefully. It doesn't matter. This is... So anyways, okay, well, in the next video, we're going to continue exploring this a bit. And what I'm going to do is probably make some more of these ready to go for this, but next week we're going to stitch this piece here in the next video and take a look at the other snippets that I'm creating. So I'm not paying attention, I'm kind of going high up there a little bit, and the hole got a little bit big, too big, but that's okay. Get back on track here, y'all. See what happens. That hole, I'm gonna have to make the dimple a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's okay. Perfectly imperfect. Okay. see, I'm going to keep that there. So what I'm going to do is bring that here. Ta-da! Okay, that turned out really cute. So what I would do is at the end there, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and do, let me see how much time we've got on this video. Okay, we got 35, you know what? We're not going to wait till next week. I'm just going to go ahead and show you now, because look, I got that. So what I'm going to do is get a pen here. I get a couple pens. Let's see what I need here. Get this set up. So on this side, normally I sew right to left, but since we're over here, I'm going to just go ahead and do this. I'm not going to use 2 pens because I was just thinking I kind of adjust as I'm going. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the pens. I'm trying to think. Do I want to leave this raw or fold it? I was going to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it raw. See how it would look raw first before we commit to that. Oh, and then I gotta fold this too, so I gotta do that real quick. You know, I could leave it raw, and I might do a small blanket stitch right there. That actually would maybe really cute. Yeah, we're gonna, I'll probably, maybe that would be, the blanket stitch would be a good one for the next video, since we're gonna have time to start stitching this down. So I know I'm using glue, I just do. Most of you are probably cringing. Yeah, it's just my thing. I'm going to do about that much. I could just, instead of putting more glue, I might just pin it, because I need this to be folded to stitch that. So I might actually use, and then go back and fold that down better. Maybe just hold that. Down. I think this might hold, just in case. Even though I've got a little bit of glue, actually no, I want to go down, I want to, even though I have a bit of glue, the pen still comes up, and then I can just wipe the pen down and it's totally fine. Here, you're probably saying, go ahead and pin this to this, which I probably should, but just, you know, probably couldn't I? Since I've got it folded now, I might go ahead. Well, but see, again, I don't want to completely pin it down really, because I like to work with this a bit, make sure it's, you know, gonna be even, maybe right there. This is probably why I should really start the whip stitch here. I know. So I can keep this even. I could just go ahead and pin this. Yeah. Well, it turns out I'm gonna be using these pins. And I can just take the pin out and kind of reposition the little bit. Okay. There. Making sure. Okay. Let's just get on with it. Okay, since I'm a little bit here and I really need to start here, I am going to go in the ditch here, if you will. Bring my needle through there, and any extra strays I can just trim off later. So I'm not a left-handed, I'm right-handed, so this is starting from the left is interesting. So see how I brought that, whipped it? So I'm just gonna make sure it's where I want it. So what I'm doing is this is here and I'm just bringing it over. I can hold this too like this if I want to. And I'm bringing the needle, I'm staying very close. And I'm trying to, I have some whip stitches here, so I'm trying to be mindful and go between these stitches. Okay, it's looking good. And I'm staying very close to that edge. These are very small stitches. See, here's that whip stitch, there's that, and I'm gonna go right. Go down slightly here. There. Just going real slow here for a second. Boy, that one's really tight. Okay. So that's looking good. So you can see that right there. I like it a lot. So I'm just gonna keep on doing this until it's make sure. So this is good. This pin's holding this in place really good. Yeah, I could pin this all together, I know. Just need to bring that, make sure you get through all the fabric. See, I did there. I'm just gonna do this here. So, yeah. So this is, I'm definitely gonna, so I'm starting to see where I'm sliding a little bit. I'm gonna take this out and readjust. And I can trim that little bit right there if I need to, because it did go over a little bit. This little piece here, I noticed. Slightly over. You know, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm not a perfectionist. And now I'm getting to where the whip stitch on that piece is ended. So definitely going to make these a bit smaller. And sure this is... Okay. So just that one. I'm gonna go do a back stitch, lip stitch with that one because I got really close to that edge. I just want to secure it better. I'm going to go to the end here, and that's when I'm gonna stop. Because this can be a very long, like super long video, and I really just want to show you how I am stitching these fabrics together. The edges, that is. So I'm thinking when I do the blanket stitch for here, I am not going to use embroidery or crochet thread. I'm gonna see, I'm gonna stick with this thread most likely. I don't know, we'll see. I could, with the embroidery floss, I can just break it down to just 2 strands. Maybe that, if I can find a color I like. I'm not gonna go out and buy embroidery thread for this piece, so if I have the floss for this, I might do that or just stick with this. I don't know, I kind of like this, and I kind of want to see if I can do a good blanket stitch with just this little bit. So that might be fun to try. And if it doesn't work, I could just always take it out. Okay, almost there. Oops, I lost the... By the way, this thread is, it's my grandmother's. Yeah, I try to use her thread, even if it's a little bit, in all my sewing projects. Okay. Almost there. It's going to be interesting to leave this raw. It really is. Okay, now I'm getting to where the fabric is super thick. Okay, went down a little bit too far on that one. Okay, it's okay. Okay, I'm going to make sure. There. No, this is not. To make sure this is going to stay. Yeah, that's going to be okay. kind of nervous though about not folding that, but we'll see. I shouldn't be nervous though. The fun part is about creating is seeing how trying something and seeing how it comes out. And I mean, being nervous is actually, I'm kind of silly for saying that, because if it just doesn't work or I want to make a change, you can, you know, take the thread out. So, okay, so I'm right here. And probably just to end it, I'm going to, actually, I'm probably not going to end it. I'm just going to keep this here like so. Bring this through. Actually, I'll bring it down because I'm just going to stop here for now. And I'll continue this off camera, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna just pin this needle here and here. Okay. So that's what I got on that so far. So that looks really good. It seems like it's a bit wonkier though than this side. It's a little different, but actually not too bad. It's pretty good. I don't do this often, so I'm always a bit out of practice when it comes to seam allowance. Probably should do more of it. It's a great, it's great to use, even in your scrappy projects. So, yay! So I hope you liked this video and got some tips and tricks. And this is a project I'm going to probably cut out 2 more of these snippet strips. I'm going to cut out some muslin, just this fabric, and just keep working on this piece off and on. I'm probably going to, my mother's not on social media, so she's not going to see this. I'm probably going to give this to my mom. Hopefully it'll be done by Christmas time, and I will be able to give it to her. So super excited about that. So this is an idea, and I cannot wait to show you the finished look. What I'll probably do is I'm going to finish the snippets. I might do a little bit next week just to kind of show, so you can see how I'm designing it. But then after, when I'm at the stage where I'm going to quilt together the snippets, I may do a video on that, and then you'll be able to see the finished look as well. So that actually might be a good idea. I might do that. So. Okay, well, I hope you join in this challenge. Again, you don't have to, for this challenge, you don't have to do any of your stitching right now. It goes really fast too when you're just making the snippets. So I'm doing these videos like this just to show you some techniques to prep your snippets for sewing projects, or various projects like that, because the ideas are completely endless. I can spend years showing you different techniques of using snippets for your projects. So we're just getting started. And I've already got a lot of videos on snippet roll ideas, especially for bow making. Anyhow, okay, well, I'm getting off here, and I will see y'all tomorrow for a Wild Card Wednesday. What's in the box? We're on volume 1. It's going to be fun. Volume 2 starts in January, and I've already planned it out, and it's going to be fantastic. Each of these series build on each other, and so I'm really looking forward to that journey as well, and exploring that with you guys. Okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now.